confronting protesters with armored personnel carriers is thoroughly un-American, and for 150 years we've had rules separating the military, keeping the military out of policing affairs. But you sort of obscure that separation if you allow the police to become the military.
The Constitution was always meant to be a living and breathing document. There is no doubt that as we evolve as a nation, the Founding Fathers had a vision that their basic tenets would remain, but we would make choices that furthered us as a government to be admired. But there are those who, instead of seeking to evolve, would rather undermine that Constitution and work to make this country as dependent on government as possible. It's a premise of the new book, Battlefield America, The War on the American People. Let's welcome the author to MidPoint, the president of the Rutherford Institute and constitutional attorney, John Whitehead. John, thank you so much for being here today.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
John, much of what you talked on in the book dealt exactly what Rand Paul was talking about, and that is the militarization of America. There are those people who would say that it is necessary, though, in light of the fact that we are under attack from terrorists, that we have homegrown terrorists, and that many times the criminals have better weapons than the cops themselves. How do we then cut the difference here, keep us safe, and not go overboard, as you would indicate?
Government studies show that you're eight times more likely to get shot as an unarmed citizen by a policeman than killed by terrorists. Crime in America is at a 40-year low, violent crime. Police officers getting shot in the line of duty is at a 50-year low. So the statistics show just the opposite. What we've seen is that with the Department of Homeland Security handing out armored vehicles, sniper rifles, all the equipment you see, the camouflage outfits. I mean, in Florida, a fellow was pulled over several days ago by policemen in an armored vehicle. When they emerged from the vehicle, they had camouflage outfits on and assault rifles. So that's the environment we're going to see in America, and it's coming soon, folks. I'm just trying to warn people that everything the Founding Fathers, you mentioned the Founding Fathers, they warned against having a standing army on American soil. Washington, Jefferson, Madison all said, don't do that. We face that. We need local police. What I'm seeing today, and I know this for a fact because I've studied this stuff for many, many years, is the fact that we really don't have local police anymore. Most of the police are connected to the Department of Homeland Security. They're federalized police and the FBI. So,
but what's the option then, John? What is the option then? Because when we talk about protection here, there are people saying that the cops still do protect us. And granted, we've had some issues here recently that show us that in many cases, there's a lot of issues with law enforcement right now. We have to address that. But then how do we address all that with still at the end of the day keeping people safe?
Well, how you keep people safe is you have good local police departments like I had when I was growing up as a young man. My next door neighbor was the chief of police. He didn't carry a weapon. One day I asked him why. He said he didn't want to shoot anybody. But with the training today, and I work with policemen who work in the police academies, they're really upset because they say the police are being trained like military units. SWAT teams are trained by the military. You have 80,000 SWAT teams. They're crashing through doors of American citizens a year. And by the way, 80% of those SWAT team raids where they go through doors and American citizens are getting shot, they wind up in the wrong home, are for mere warrant service where a cop used to show up and go, knock, knock, are you Mr. Smith? So things have changed.
Then who's driving this, John? I mean, when we talk about this, and in your book, when you talk about the militarization, you talk about government surveillance, you talk about all this, there has to be a core that's driving this to this point. Who and what is that?
The chief agencies of the Department of Homeland Security, connected, by the way, to the NSA and other groups. But here's the point. I mean, we're dealing with, I consider, a paranoid government. People forget about a year and a half ago, the Department of Homeland Security contracted to buy 1.6 million hollow point bullets, which violate international law. They explode on contact with their agents. The average agent for the Department of Homeland Security has 3 times the amount of ammunition that a foot soldier does in Afghanistan. Why? And all the major agencies, IRS, Department of Education, have SWAT teams. They're loaded with hollow point bullets. For what? I mean, crime's at a 40-year low. So I think we're dealing with a paranoid unit that is fearing that there might be an uprising in the country, people who are getting tired of this stuff. You saw it with Ferguson. You've seen it with some of the things happening around the country, and they're ready. And I'm telling people, though, and this is the key, a lot of veterans contact me, by the way. We help a lot of veterans. They say, I've got my gun. I'm waiting at the end of the hallway. And I'm telling them, dude, put the gun down. You will not be able to withstand the firepower of local police departments.
Isn't that part of it there, though, John, when you talk about the veterans, but when you talk about people, there's not just the officers involved, but there are a lot of people out there who are heavily armed. And these are the ones who believe that there is an apocalyptic moment that is coming right now. Isn't that part of the problem as well?
Really I don't, because if you look again at the statistics, FBI statistics, violent crimes at a 40-year low. I mean, so the people with the guns aren't shooting. Again, listen to this. In the first month and a half of 2015, policemen shot unarmed citizens in this country. More people were killed by policemen than the five other industrialized countries in the world. So for some reason, we're very violent. But I go back. I work with policemen who train in the academy. They say they're being trained very militarily. They refer to us now as civilians, the police. We're not civilians. We're citizens. So are they.
So you're saying that even though there are a lot of better armed villains, if you will, here, criminals here in America today, we don't need to further arm our police departments in order to bring about peace?
Well, it's obviously not doing it because the people they're shooting don't have guns. The guy in South Carolina was running away. They shot him 4 times in the back. I'm seeing those cases.
Well, let me turn to this because there's so much more in your book, and we've kind of gotten off a little bit on the police departments here. But I only got about a minute and a half here, unfortunately, on this. Isn't this all about the right of the government to infringe on your freedoms? Michael Bloomberg said one time, he said the government has the right to infringe on your freedoms. Isn't that really what you're talking about here, to stop the government from infringing on those rights?
Read the Bill of Rights. The word not or no is mentioned 42 times in a few sentences. Listen, the Founding Fathers wouldn't agree with any of that. No, they don't have a right. I mean, the Fourth Amendment says you can't even do surveillance on an American citizen unless you have probable cause, which is some evidence of criminal activity. Why is the NSA downloading almost 2 billion emails a day, hacking into Facebook pages? They violate the Fourth Amendment every day. You think the Founding Fathers would agree with that? I know they would.
So 45 seconds, and John, what is your quick synopsis of all this as far as a solution? How do the people of America stop this from happening?
The basic solution here is for Americans to take over their local governments just like the Founding Fathers
You say take over the local governments? You don't mean an insurrective takeover, do you?
No. Here's the key. Get down to your local city council, get your picket signs. When you see SWAT team raids or when people get killed or shooting dogs, put an end to that. You can do that, but you have to get involved in your local government. Obama's not going to listen to a thing you have to say, or the next president. You knock on the White House door, you're going to get arrested. But you can change things. When you see kids handcuffed in a public schools, get down to your school board and change that rule, folks. You can do it.
There you go. Okay, that's and what we've talked about, and you're right, it's basic involvement from the citizens themselves to make sure that they are not just lemmings, if you will. They actually do something.
The Constitution begins with we the people. That's the government.
The book, again, is called Battlefield America, The War on the American People, and the author is John Whitehead. John, you make a very compelling case. I thank you so much for your time. I'll look forward to speaking again.
Thank you, sir.
All right, when we come back, he has not yet joined the Republican field for president, yet there is a feeling that this individual will. However, this individual has got a lot of problems behind him, and now he's taking on Social Security. We'll tell you who it is and deal with the issue next on MidPoint.